After 2 years of sobriety, I'd just like to briefly touch on a few of the things that will change in your life should you choose to go for it. And for the record, I was 39 years old and had lived in active addiction for the better part of 2 decades before the seeds that were planted in me came to fruition on the whole get sober thing. Has life gotten off track? Are you looking for some inspiration to be a better dad? People say all the time, I'd die for my kids. Okay. But would you live for them? Actually live? Get yourself healthy? Make better choices? Eliminate distractions? Would you lead them more intentionally? Would you get sober? Take better care of yourself, physically and mentally. You'd only have to die once. Your kids don't need you to die for them. They need you to live. Have you thought about getting sober, but you just didn't know where to start? If so, welcome to the Domestic Dad Podcast, your go-to destination for candid discussions on journeys into sobriety, parenting, and personal growth. I'm Nick Barnett, founder of the Domestic Dad Project. I've been a dad since I was 18 years old. I'm also a trauma survivor, an alcoholic, divorced, happily remarried, hardworking, humbled by life, domestic dad. On this podcast, you'll find interviews with people who have walked that path, including myself, coaches, mentors, and pastors who can help guide you on your journey. You're going to need resources and inspiration. You can find that here. This is the community for you to lean into so you can start living life as a domestic dad. So let's grab a mop and start cleaning up the mess. Once you get through the thick of the withdrawal symptoms, you're probably going to lose some weight. I went from 238 pounds down to 210. So that was awesome. The next thing that improved was my overall physical health. I was able to actually work out and get motivated. After that, brain recovery. That's a real thing. You start to process things faster. The next phase, emotional and psychological changes. I was able to step off of the emotional roller coaster, if you will. Mental clarity becomes a real thing that you can embrace, and personal growth starts to happen. Most of the relationships that you have in your life will improve. You'll start developing support networks, and you'll rebuild trust with a ton of people. And it's okay to realize that you can't unburn some bridges. You will likely create new hobbies and interests, establish healthy routines and a better diet, and you'll likely get adequate amount of sleep. You'll start feeding your soul better food. I can remember setting goals and being able to achieve them and being like, oh my gosh, this is a superpower. I challenged myself to exceed what my old expectations were for my life. And exactly that started to happen. Overall, the first 2 years of sobriety from addiction involved a complex interplay of challenges and rewards. They led to significant physical, emotional, and social transformation. And I have to just put an emphasis on the fact that support from professionals, peers, and loved ones had a huge enhancement on that journey. I went to a men's conference this weekend. I'll just say, if you see an opportunity to attend a men's conference at any point, I strongly encourage you to do it and go for it, because they can be game changers for the next season of your life. And before I went, I called one of my boys and I was like, hey man, I'm going to this. You want to roll with me? And he was like, hell yeah, man, I'm down. Let's go. So I went over to his house on Saturday morning and I picked him up. And as we drove over to Starbucks for a pre-conference coffee, I mentioned to him, today is my 2-year sobriety anniversary. And he was like, oh man, that's awesome. He congratulated me and asked me how I felt about it. I told him while I was excited about the milestone, sobriety had become a normal part of my life. I live it every day and often talk about it and do a podcast on it, but it's just become my way of being. Then he said something profound. He reminded me you can't forget how long you've fed the other version of yourself, the addict version. I paused, reflecting on his words, and he asked how long I had struggled with addiction. I had to think back. I realized that I wasn't always in the depths of addiction. Those behaviors were deeply ingrained in me over time. He pointed out, dude, you're still a baby when it comes to being sober. Learning to walk takes a year. Running takes more time. And reaching your full potential, it takes even longer. His words hit home. And just like an infant learning to walk, my journey in sobriety is ongoing. The seeds of change have been planted. And with time, they'll take root and grow. All that to say, the first 2 years of sobriety bring to mind a story that I want to share with you guys. It's the story of the Chinese bamboo tree. It's an extraordinary plant. After planting the seed, you see nothing for 5 years. No sign of growth, no indication that anything is happening beneath the soil. And during those 5 years, you water it, nurture it, and ensure it receives the right amount of sunlight. You keep faith in its potential, even though you see no immediate results. And then suddenly, in the 5th year, it grows. But it doesn't just grow a little. It shoots up almost 90 feet in 6 weeks. The question arises, did the bamboo tree grow 90 feet in 6 weeks or in 5 years? And the answer is very clear. During those initial 5 years, it was developing a strong root system, a foundation that would support its rapid growth when the time was right. The story of the bamboo tree is a powerful metaphor for the journey into sobriety. When someone decides to embrace sobriety, the initial progress might not be visible. There might be days, months, or even years where it feels like nothing is changing. The effort put into overcoming addiction, attending meetings, looking for support, facing your own personal demons, it might seem fruitless at times. But just like that bamboo tree, the real growth is happening beneath the surface. In the early stages of sobriety, we build our root system. We are learning to cope with triggers, developing new habits, and establishing a network of support. Those foundations are crucial. Without a strong root system, the rapid growth seen in the bamboo tree would be absolutely impossible. And similarly, without a solid foundation in recovery, lasting sobriety, it just can't be achieved. The journey into sobriety requires patience. It demands resilience, especially during the times when progress is not visible. It requires an unwavering commitment to the process. And even when the results are not immediately evident, it requires faith. Faith in yourself, faith in the process, faith in the support systems that you put in place. And most importantly, faith in God. For all you non-believers out there, just shoot me an email and let me know who you are, and I'll pray for you. So for those of you that are on this journey, remember the bamboo tree. Trust that your efforts are not in vain. Every meeting you attend, every day you stay sober, every struggle you overcome, that is strengthening you and your foundation. And when the time is right, your growth will be exponential. To those supporting someone on their journey into sobriety, you guys all need to remember the bamboo tree as well. Because your encouragement, patience, and the unwavering belief in their potential, that is the water, sunlight, and care that they need. Even when you don't see immediate results, know that your support is making a huge difference. Achieving sobriety is a profound transformation. It's a journey of immense personal growth, much like the astonishing growth of the Chinese bamboo tree. It may take time, and the progress may not always be visible, but with patience, resilience, and unwavering commitment, remarkable growth is not only possible, but inevitable. Now, I give you the story of the bamboo tree, but I just want to say that I'm nowhere near as strong as what I have the potential to be. I'm still working on the process. I think we all are. And I think for anybody that's listening to this podcast, to glean some inspiration, to clean up the mess, we're all out here trying to clean up our mess. And to be completely honest with you guys, just because I get sober or you get sober, it doesn't mean that you've got it all figured out. As a matter of fact, it's probably the opposite. Because while your brain heals and things become more and more clear, cognitive function comes to a seemingly all-time high, you have to embrace the fact that you're still a baby. And you fed the addict version of yourself for a very long time. There's a lot of learned behaviors that are still inside that you have to relearn or re-educate yourself on. I'd just like to say that I'm still broken. I still have pieces of me that I need to put back together. I don't have everything figured out yet. I still have a lot to learn, but I'm actively engaged in the work that it takes to grow into the new version of myself that I want to become, to grow into that bamboo tree. All seeds that get planted have to get dirty at some point. A seed can't grow without dirt and water, but we need to make sure that we take care of the dirt and we need to make sure that we water the seeds. So if you're a dad who wants to grow with me, give me a call. Hit me up on Facebook or shoot me an email. Or at the very least, keep listening, because this is a community that you can lean into. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, I want to thank you with all my heart. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps us out. If you have questions about getting sober, parenting, or personal growth, email Nick at domesticdadproject.com with any questions about cleaning up the messes you've made. And if your question is discussion worthy, we'll feature it in an upcoming episode. Don't forget, you can watch any of these videos uncut and unedited, filmed in my studio from our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Domestic Dad Project. Also, please follow us on Facebook or share this episode on your social media. You can also join our community by grabbing some merch. It means the world to me to know that this podcast is making a difference in someone's life. And if this episode inspired you to get sober or simply become a better version of yourself, you can claim your free 60-minute coaching session by visiting www.domesticdadproject.com. Let's continue supporting each other to break the stigma around dads reaching out for help, to get our lives on track while navigating the obstacles of fatherhood. Until next time, keep cleaning up the mess.